Welcome to the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, where we discuss everything you need to know about home inspection from A to Z. Brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina. We're here to share some success stories and some not so successful stories. Some things we can all learn from, and maybe, just maybe, we can help each other and raise the profession. So sit back, turn up the volume, and enjoy. Now, here's your host of the Successful Home Inspector Podcast, Preston Sandlin.
Guys, let's face it, the Yellow Pages are dead. The old days of calling your company AAA Home Inspection and expecting to get calls from that by being number one on the Yellow Pages don't work anymore. Today, you got to be number one on the search engines. That's Google, Yahoo, Bing, or a couple of others. Billy Borner from St. Louis knows how to do this. He has been number one for quite some time, and it brings him thousands of dollars each month. I've talked to Billy, and he's decided to make this available for you. SEO Secrets. And he normally charges $49 for this instructional video, but for our listeners, we've worked out a deal where it's $39.95. For $39.95, you can bring thousands of dollars to your company each month as well. Go to the homepage, thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com, and look on the tab SEO Secrets. Click on that and go to Billy's link.
Well, hello out there, listeners. I have a special treat for you today. I have a really good friend of mine, Jen McMurdy from Richmond, Virginia. Her and her husband, Ray McMurdy, own Capital Home Inspection, and I've been friends with them for a long time, and they're just good people. How you doing tonight, Jen?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Preston.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Yeah, I have known Jen. We've been to several conferences. She's actually been to Charlotte. She knows my wife, and I know you guys were doing the Miracle Morning there for a while. My wife sort of got off on it. She needs to get back on it, but I know
yeah, me too.
crazy busy. Well, Jen, tell us a little bit about you, because we'd like to get to know you personally.
Sure. Well, thanks again for having me. I really obsessively listen to these podcasts, so there is not one that I haven't really learned a lot from. So I hope to be able to share our experiences and just in the home inspection business as well. So Ray and I have, we've been in business for a little over 11 years, and we run our business together. Ray handles really the inspectors and all of the training, and I handle all of the office side of things in terms of the accounting and the marketing and all of that fun stuff. And we live in Richmond, Virginia. We have 3 kids that are 11, 9, and 5. We have a 93-pound Labradoodle that all keep us very busy.
Yeah, 4 kids. So, you have 4 kids.
Pretty much. So any spare time we have, which is very rare, is really spent running around from kid activities to more kid activities. So between swimming and piano and school activities, we don't really have very much time left over.
I hear you, and I can relate. Believe me, I can relate. Well, Jen, tell us how did Ray get into doing home inspections, and how did you guys get in the business? Was he always, or did he do something else first, or how did that come about?
Yeah, well, I know you always tell your story about how you wanted to be an artist, and it's always really, really interesting to me because in listening to these podcasts, I hear how many home inspectors come from a really creative and artistic background. And, for Ray, when he was little, he wanted to be, what every little boy wants to be, which I guess is a fireman. And but he also, he was very, very creative. And he actually went to college. He went to art school at VCU. And throughout, and he's super, super talented. Yeah. He doesn't have a whole lot of time for it, but he's very, very talented. And he, throughout his college career, ended up with a more practical degree in business management. But he really did start off, wanting to be in a more creative outlet type of field. But it's always interesting to me to hear that, because I hear so many home inspectors that come from either a musical or an artistic or creative background. And then for me, I love to write. I always wanted to be a journalist as I was growing up. And I ended up graduating with a degree in mass communications with a concentration in marketing and advertising. No shocker there. And, we both worked in corporate America for years. Ray worked in operations and in management, and I worked in sales and marketing. And, it's pretty cliche, but we love houses and we love real estate. We love working with people. And Ray worked flipping houses for a few years while he worked full-time, in corporate America. And this just kind of seemed like a really good fit for us. We both come from families of entrepreneurs, and we wanted to own our own business. And so that's really how we got into it.
Well, cool. I did not know that about Ray. I have no problem. I know that you came from marketing, and if you guys follow Jen on Facebook, you'll see she is a marketing guru, and she I take notes of some of the stuff she does. What just out of curiosity, what you probably used all different kinds of medium, but was there a certain medium that Ray used in his art, or that he particularly liked more than the other, like oil or watercolor? Or?
Yeah, I think he really loved to paint, and he did a lot of welding and a lot of hands-on type of stuff. So I don't really know. I'm not into a lot of art stuff, so I don't know a lot about exactly what types of paint he used. But
Sure.
I've seen his work, and I'm like, why aren't you painting? Why aren't you doing this in your current adult world? But, life gets busy, and you just don't always make time for those things that you're passionate about and you love,
I hear you. Well, when you guys, you're working on that pipeline. When you get that pipeline built, he'll have more time for it. He'll have more time.
I know. One day.
I hear you. Well, Jen, you mentioned you guys have been doing inspections for about 11 years. Tell me about some of the changes you've seen.
Sure. Well, we're going into our 12th year. When we started, we were handwriting reports, and things were certainly not nearly as technologically savvy as they are now. So thankfully, we've seen kind of, leaps and bounds in that regard, and we, no longer print our reports on site. Everything gets emailed out, and there's a lot of video and reports and that kind of thing. But, where I've seen a lot of change is, thankfully, in educating the public about the need for home inspections and, what they're about. And so, from a marketing standpoint, things have gone from a lot of print advertising and very traditional advertising to more relationship building and a lot of course, social media, which I think is really better for our industry as a whole.
I do too. A lot of people don't like it, but I love it. I love it. It actually, honestly, I think it goes back. Everybody says it's new, but actually it's old. I mean, in the old days,
really
in a small town, that's the way, you went to the little diner and everybody knew everybody, and everybody had breakfast in the same place. I think social media is creating that again. So, word of mouth.
It helps create sort of a hometown feel,
Yeah, word of mouth is the best advertising there is. Well, I know you guys are, Jen, are in the process of hiring more inspectors, and I know a little bit of the backstory and whatnot. But tell us, and I know you guys are getting ready to have a workshop to try to attract some new. So tell us a little bit about hiring or training inspectors. What's that like? What does it look like at Capital Inspection? Or do you guys have a training process? How's that look?
Sure. Yeah, we're definitely in team building mode as we speak. We have we currently have 3 inspectors with several coming through in training. We do, in our state, have a voluntary certification process, so we do have a multi-step process in our training that involves, basic home inspection training, training through the software that we use, and then, kind of integrating the two. And then we also go through a full state certification training with all of our inspectors. So, it takes some time to get through the training process, but I think the quality speaks for itself,
Cool. What, just out of curiosity, what software do you got? Reporting software do you guys use?
We use HomeGauge.
HomeGauge. I hear a lot of people say good things. I've been using 3D, but I'll be honest.
We've used HomeGauge since the beginning of time. And Ray has a template that is, amazing. And so, you have so much invested into that software that you use. And HomeGauge also offers just a level of customer service. When we call, people answer. And I know it's like that with a lot of the software companies, but we've just always had a really good relationship with Russell and his whole team, and
Right.
they've always been really great to us. So I'm a very loyal person. So
Cool.
We really enjoy working with them.
I might have to talk to you about it. I've been using 3D, and I like 3D, but their customer service is not good. I'm just going to tell you, it's not good. They don't. The lady there is not nice. She talks to you like you're in elementary school, and I'm just tired of it. I mean,
I like. I like nice
that.
people.
Yeah.
So, I
I
refuse to work with mean ones.
I honestly hope they hear that on this podcast, because I really wish they would change.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just a little personal thing that I'm not happy with them right now. But, Jen, do you have a little success quote? Not a little, but, do you have a success quote you'd be willing to share with us?
I have endless quotes, Preston. I love quotes.
I know.
I did narrow it down. I picked two, and the first one is one that I have above my desk, and it's this: faith is knowing that when you step into darkness, one of two things will happen. Either there will be something for you to stand on, or you will be taught to fly. And whenever I'm contemplating something that I know, fear is the key factor that's holding me back, I just try to read that quote, and it helps me just know that you can handle whatever that unknown is, and whatever, you're not sure of how things are going to go. I've learned many times that if you just step out there, somehow you have to figure it out, so you do.
I like it. Who is that your own quote, or who said that?
Oh, God, no. I have no idea who the quote is from.
Okay,
I guess I should really reference that. I'll try to find out for you and let you know.
Cool.
And
What's
then the other quote is another one that I actually ordered on Etsy and had a print made for our office, because it really spoke to me. And it's, do not spoil what you have by desiring what you have not. But remember that what you now have was what was among the things that you only hoped for. And this one really speaks to me because, we all have dreams for our businesses, and we all have all of these hopes. And sometimes we get so caught up in just wanting more that we don't realize how far we've come and, how much. So I like that quote as well.
No, that's excellent.
And I could keep you on this call for hours with it.
I'm sure. Well, and you know what? That quote, I thought the same thing. Kind of my computer last week got a virus. I was just so angry, because it's like all my stuff was on there. They saved everything, but now I have to reload all the programs. And I've thought to myself, there's people who are, have cancer. There's people who have real problems. This is just an inconvenience.
Yeah.
So, like you said, don't spoil things that you have. It's no big deal. It's just a bump in the road.
We just concentrate so much on what we don't have, and, sometimes I'm like, gosh, I wish we had more time in a week. We have far too many inspections, and I'm like, God, don't you remember the days when you just longed for like a full week of inspections? And, we all had that time in our business where we wanted that, and, then you have it and you're wanting other things. So I think you just have to be secure in what you have.
Excellent. Good stuff. Well, Jen, I'm going to double these questions up. What do you guys do in your spare time? And tell us something that about you guys that we don't know. Sure.
So I took notes on all these questions you gave me for the interview.
No.
And
I know you're
I try to be. And so under number 10, where it's what do you do in your spare time, it says like NA because we really don't have a whole lot of spare time, but when we do, we really just kind of enjoy the simple things, hanging out with our friends, and luckily Richmond offers a ton of local festivals and all kinds of fun stuff, and we're in a place where we can get to the beach in 2 hours and we can get to the mountains in an hour, and so we're around a lot of really cool places, and so we have a lot of options when we do have time.
Cool. You guys go to the Outer Banks, don't you? Is it close to you guys?
We do, yeah, every summer.
I love
every summer we go to different beaches. I know, our favorite one is Topsail.
Oh, you've been down to Topsail.
That's where you grew up, right? Or...
Yeah, our family went there every year growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like our place to go. Wow, I didn't. Yeah, that's right. I remember you putting it on there now. My favorite.
Yeah, we love it.
Have you ever been to Ocracoke? Love Ocracoke.
Yes, we've been there also. And every year we would go to like different Outer Bank beaches, and I mean there are so many that I love. We went to Oak Island one year, and I loved that one. But once we started going to Topsail, I don't know that I'll ever look back because it's such a beautiful beach.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, we used to go to Jolly. It was what is it, Jolly Roger Pier. I'm not even sure if it's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that place.
Yeah.
Awesome. I had to tell my mom to listen.
And
to
then,
this
what was your other question that you asked me?
Oh, tell us something about you guys that we don't know.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Let's see. I guess something that a lot of people don't know that I guess from a more professional standpoint is that I don't ever remember how old I am. And it drives Ray absolutely insane. Whenever people ask me, I just look at him for an answer. And I don't think I've remembered my age since I was like 21. So I think that is where I always wanted to be, was just 21 forever.
My youngest daughter said, "Daddy, younger people always want to be older, and older people always want to be younger." I said, "Yeah, you hit it. You hit it." Well, Jen, oh, wait a minute. I actually skipped the question. Sorry about that. Let's say that I'm a buyer or a real estate agent in Richmond. There are other home inspectors in your market. Why should I hire you? Is there something you guys do that others don't?
Well, I guess for buyers, I think that they recognize the difference with our company the moment they are on the phone with us. We really try to take a different approach and take our buyers by the hand and really walk them through the process. We do a really good job, I think, at setting people's expectations and, whether it's scheduling with them or the customer service that we provide after the inspection takes place. We hear it again and again that no other company in Richmond provides what we do in that regard. And from a quality standpoint, our guys are consistent. They're thorough. We're the only locally owned home inspection company in which all of our home inspectors are members of ASHI and state certified. So other home inspection companies that are local that, the owner is state certified or the owner may be an ASHI member, but their guys are not. And so we try to provide that level of consistency that no matter what inspector you get with us, they have that same basic level of experience and expertise. Cool.
Good stuff. Well, now I'm going to take it down here a notch, and I hate to be negative, but it's a fact in our business. You know as well as I do that if you do enough inspections, you're going to have an unhappy camper. How do you guys handle an unhappy camper, and do you have a process? What's that look like?
Yeah, we, like anyone, I think we always try to follow the golden rule, and especially when it comes to anyone who's unhappy, treating customers like you would want to be treated. And I'm a pretty tough customer. I'm really tough to please. So, I try to just put myself, I'm sure you can imagine that. So I really try to put myself in their shoes and, try to be fair and try to be honest. And we're very passionate about wowing people with a really, really high level of customer service that they really don't expect, and especially when they're angry.
Sure.
So our process is to kind of, I guess, first to listen to them and allow them to vent and get all their frustrations out. And really, no matter what or who caused the problem, we really never blame or make excuses or anything like that. We just really try to very quickly take the initiative to solve whatever problem it is as quickly as we can. We make sure that we understand, exactly what the customer tells us and that, we are speaking it back to them so that we're sure we understand from their perspective, what the problem is. And then I think it's important to find out what the customer wants. So many times we're just so quick to, provide the solution that we think is the best thing, but sometimes the customer just wants to yell and vent, and they don't want any money back, and they don't want anything else. But, that way we're working towards a solution that is one that's going to make them happy.
Sure.
99% of the time when we have a callback, we usually always return to the property. And, just to try to piece together pieces before we offer, any kind of a solution. And I can't think of a time that we haven't been able to, really follow through and make the customer happy. if there's ever been a time that they didn't like our solution, we always try to consider, what they would want as a fair alternative. But I always try to remember that a client's loyalty is really only as strong as, the success of their very last contact with you. So if they walk away feeling negative, their loyalty is over.
Right. No, I think that's good. That's excellent stuff. Everybody who's listening out there, I hope you're taking notes, unless you're driving, of course. You can listen to it again. But, that's good stuff. I like what you said about the last contact they had with you. That's key right there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jen, we're going to get into, in a few minutes, we're going to get into some highs and lows. But first, let's take a minute and pause for our sponsors.
Are you struggling to make your home inspection business grow? Well, have I got the answer for you. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. At HomeInspectionFlyers.com, you get 5 flyers a month. There are 3 sales flyers and 2 recipe flyers. And you can customize them to exactly what you want. And these make great flyers when you go to the offices to put in their boxes, especially if you're doing like candy bowls or something along that nature. Like I said, it's 5 flyers a month for $29.99, and they're very creative, and you just put in your information. They come as a publisher file, and you just put in your information, and then you send them off to get printed. You can send them off online, and you can get color copies for less than 10 cents a copy. It's a great way to go. I went from being a 1-man home inspection firm to a 7-man home inspection firm on this one strategy alone. So try it today. HomeInspectionFlyers.com. Thanks.
All right. Well, we are back here with Jen McMurdy and her husband, Ray McMurdy, own Capital Home Inspections in Richmond, Virginia. I don't know if you guys have ever been to Richmond, Virginia, but it's a beautiful city and full of Civil War history, too. I think Virginia is probably the most history-laden state in the United States. Civil War and Revolutionary War. I love Virginia. Well, gets just one state above us. Nothing happened in North Carolina, though. Everything happened in Virginia and South Carolina.
You have the beaches.
Yeah,
you have the beaches.
We got the beaches. Well, Jen, I'm sorry to keep being negative. I'm going to bring you back positive here in a second. But tell us about a time you guys failed. Take us there, and what did you learn from it?
Sure. I mean, I like to call it failing forward.
Sure.
Here recently we've been growing really, really quickly, and while it's a positive thing, growth can definitely be very difficult to manage. And, we are consistently booked out, 2 weeks in advance. And, one of the things that we've tried to do is try to take on more business. And sometimes we've tried to take on more business than we can effectively handle and also keep at that level of customer service that we expect out of ourselves. So, we just try to use every opportunity as a learning tool. And what keeps me going really is, I'm an avid reader, and knowing that so many successful people have been frequent failures, and,
right.
It's all about persistence. So many really successful people have suffered countless setbacks, and, that just makes me know that the more that we fail, the closer we are to meeting our goals and being successful and getting through those lessons that you need to get through in order to be where you want to be.
I hear you, and I can't wait to ask you for your favorite book. I've listened to a lot of your reading suggestions, but I got one more question first before we get to that. Well, Jen, on the other end of the spectrum, do you have a moment? I call this an I made it moment, but I don't like that because I always feel like we're a work in progress. How about a I've come a long way moment? Have you guys had that moment?
Yeah, I agree. I think the moment you think you made it, it's all over.
Right.
I think it's so important to stay humble, and honestly, I have learned this so much from you and from Meg. You guys you really are. You're super successful, and you're really 2 of the most humble people I've ever met. And I think it's just important to stay humble, but it's also important to celebrate all of your victories because you work really hard for them. So I guess if I had to pick one time, it would be I remember the very first time that Ray and I were sitting at the beach, and our business was back at home running itself, and that was a really gratifying feeling.
That's a nice moment, isn't it?
It's a nice moment.
Nothing bad about one man. I know there's a lot of folks listening to this that probably have a one-man shop, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's times I wish I was a one-man shop again. But the downside.
I was going to say, there are many days that I think, let's go back.
Yeah, and there's upsides and downsides of both. But the downside of a one-man shop is you go on vacation, you're not making any money. And that's the good thing about multi-inspector is your business can run even when you're not there. And at some point, it gets to where it even runs better with me not being there. That starts to get a little scary. But I think they do better with me not there. I don't know what that says. But, This is going to be a great question for you because I know you're an avid reader. Do you have a favorite book that you can recommend to our listeners? And what is it about that book that appeals to you, Jen?
Sure. I like you said, I have a whole list, but I think my favorite book of all time is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. I mean, it's really no fluff, and really that all the little decisions you make, add up over time. And then the second one that I love is E-Myth Revisited. Someone had recommended that book to me several years ago, and I think I've read it probably 5 or 6 times, and every time I read it, I seem to get something different out of it than I got before. It's just like what I need to hear at that moment kind of comes through. So I think that's one of my favorites. And then, like you said, I read Miracle Morning the beginning of this year, and that was really a game changer for me in just, setting my mind and my day straight. And like Meg, I kind of fell off the wagon a little bit here lately, but the days that I still do it a couple of times a week, and the days that I do have my Miracle Morning, it's a noticeable difference in my day. So, and that book, Miracle Morning, I know that one people don't know about as well, but that one is by a guy named Hal Elrod, and that's a really good book as well. Excellent. Three great recommendations. And E-Myth is, for folks listening, is Michael Gerber. Yes. I heard that I was listening to a podcast, and I think Darren Hardy has come out with a new book. I can't think of the name of it right now. But he's also, he's the editor of Success Magazine. And did you sent that to me too, didn't you? I think. I did. Yeah. That was awesome. I was going to say that too. I mean, I know it's not a book, but for anyone who's not, and I don't get anything for this, but for anyone who's not subscribing to Success Magazine, it comes with a little CD every month, and they interview 3 successful entrepreneurs, and that magazine is like Christmas. Like, I love when it comes every month. I love reading it, and I love listening to the CD, and I love that magazine. No, and thank you so much. I listen to it too. It gets me all jacked up. And, that's the thing about being an entrepreneur or owning your own business. We have to be our own boss. And so we have to, or be our own coach, so to speak, too. So we have to, listen to stuff that gets us pumped up. Because I think we get so caught up in the minutia of, doing the work that we kind of need to step outside of it at some points and, sort of look at it from the inside out and, pump ourselves up a little bit. Yeah, and I think it's also important to step out of the home inspection industry. Sure. Just because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're doing what everyone else is doing. I like that. That's another quote there. I need to write that one down. Well, we talked about. You can quote me. All right, Jen McMurdy. Now, we talked about you guys have been in business for about 11 years and some of the changes you've seen. And I know you don't have a crystal ball, but if you did, what would you predict would be changes we might see in the future in home inspection? Yeah, I mean, I definitely think things are becoming more focused on, technology and the use of videos. I wouldn't be surprised to see, all video inspections at some point in the future. And, of course, there's, I know in your state you have licensure, but, in our state there's a push towards mandatory state certification at least and a licensure process. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with that in our state in particular. I see so many differences between, your business in North Carolina and our business in Virginia just due to those licensure issues. And, it almost makes it a very, very, very different industry just because of the differences in licensing. So, that's something that a lot of inspectors here are pushing for. And, that will be interesting to see what happens. I think it's definitely coming down the pipeline. Sure. And what I notice about, states that have it and states that don't,
States that don't have licensing, that being a member of ASHI or Internashi or NAHI seem to be that seems to sort of take the place of it a little bit. I don't know.
Yes.
Whereas or at least in my own state, I mean, it's great to be a member of ASHI and NAHI and Internashi, and if there's one I missed, I forgot. I think they're all great organizations. It's not as big a deal because of licensing, but I highly recommend. I recommend all the organizations. I mean, they all have good things in education and stuff. Well, let's switch gears, and I'm sorry, I'm going negative again. We'll get positive here in a second. I know the answer to this before I ask, because if you've been in business 11 years, I know it's happened. Have you ever been thrown under the bus by a contractor? I know I have. How do you handle it? Do you have any ideas of how we can, I don't think we can ever stop it, but at least, contain it a little bit. Do you have any thoughts on this, Jen?
Yeah, I mean, it happens really often, and I think that really the best way to combat this is with facts and education, and to use it as an opportunity to really educate people what is actually within the scope of the home inspection. So many times I hear myself saying over and over again, it's not like HGTV. It's a visual inspection and, that kind of thing. And so I think you just have to use it as an opportunity with the client. We have a lot of really solid relationships with a lot of contractors and vendors that are reputable, but no one likes to get thrown under the bus, and especially when that contractor is not even aware what's within the scope of the actual home inspection. And it's really bothersome, but it always takes a little cleanup in terms of resetting the clients in the right direction. But with a little bit of extra time with the client and kind of redirecting them, and letting them know what your job was and what you did, and trying to get on the same page with the contractor is always helpful. But sometimes those contractors are a little difficult to work with. So and you just kind of have to take it all with a grain of salt.
Right. And there's some opportunistic contracts, and there's some really good ones out there. I got to go on a radio show last week. Ray Terry here in Charlotte, he has this show called About Your House, and it's cool because he's actually president of a contractors and remodelers and builders association here, and he's asked me to come speak. They meet once a month. He's asked me to come speak, and there's all these remodelers and repair guys, and I'm thinking this will be awesome, because if I can establish a relationship with them where we can work together, I mean, I could send them work, legit work, and we can, the whole thing with me is, I will send you work, but do right by the people. And you know what? If you find something that I miss, call me. We'll get it fixed. We'll resolve it, but don't throw gas on the flame. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think there is something to be said with, having a team of other reputable businesses that are, contractors and vendors that, do become part of your team and, can provide those resources to your clients, and, that, you can use as a resource as well. But I think radio shows like that, where you're getting involved with other vendors. We're part of one here in Richmond, and we actually aren't a guest on their show. It's the Ask Tommy radio show, and we just go as a guest with lots of different realtors who ask us to go. But through that radio show, we've gotten to know a lot of different vendors, and, just from living in a small town like Richmond, I mean, you get to know a lot of different vendors, but I think establishing that, that level of relationship with other reputable people is really helpful when you do get thrown under the bus, because, you can rely on those others to kind of set the record straight when it comes to code or anything like that, you're not really inspecting to.
Sure. No, I think that's key. It's developing some relationship with some reputable contractors, and if you get thrown under the bus by an unreputable one, you can send a reputable one out there to
right, exactly.
Say, hey, wait a minute. This is, well, speaking of unreputable contractors, this leads me to my next question. This is something that I have that bothers me personally, and I don't know if you have these type folks in Richmond. Some mold remediation are the worst. There's also some heat and air and duct cleaning people who do this. I mean, it's not. They basically have this free inspection or this, $59 tune-up or something like that. And that's not what people think it is. People think, oh, that's great, $59 too. What that really is a lead generation to sell you a new system.
Right.
And,
yeah.
That's okay if you really need a new system or you really need mold remediation. But some of these folks are mold remediation salesmen and HVAC salesmen, not necessarily that. Does that make sense? Where they're going to sell you a mold remediation whether you need it or not, and they're going to use fear tactics to do it. And I have a problem with that. Do you have those folks in Richmond? And
I think they're everywhere. I think they're everywhere.
Have you ever had one of them come to a house after you guys have inspected it and like put fear in the seller? Oh my gosh, you guys have mold. And have you guys run into that at all?
So many times. And I think it just it goes back to educating the consumer or the seller or whoever it is. And I think it also goes back to really establishing your business as a force within the real estate community. I think once you establish your business and you have that reputation, people trust you. And, I think for so long home inspectors and realtors have clashed. And a lot of times when those contractors throw home inspectors under the bus, the realtors are right behind them. And, if you can become part of the real estate community and establish that level of trust, I think it helps in all of these areas because I think everybody knows where you're coming from and knows, what they expect out of the home inspection from your company, and it just helps set expectations better. So I think it all goes back to just kind of educating people and, not so much having to respond to these issues regularly, but trying to be more proactive about it in establishing what you do and what you don't do as part of the inspection.
Absolutely. Well, Jen, I want to ask your opinion on something. I'm bothered by what I see sometimes on home inspector forums. I don't know if you guys or if Ray gets on some of the forums. There's really some helpful people on there, and it's a good resource, to ask questions. And there's some really helpful people that will help you along because nobody knows everything. Nobody. But sometimes there's some trolls on there, and those folks bother me. You guys have any experience with this or have any opinions on that, or have you been on any of the forums, or is Ray?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anybody who owns a home inspection company would be lying if they said they didn't visit the forums, but I'm pretty sure that in listening to these podcasts in which you interview all of these companies, the answer is pretty resounding, which is stay off the forums.
And that's a shame. That's a shame.
It is, but this is the reason why. It's great to have a community of home inspectors, but the reason why they get those reputations for negativity and being viewed as a very ego-driven place to be is because that's exactly what it is, and it's the same thing that gets our industry in trouble with consumers and with realtors. A bunch of home inspectors that are trying to prove their knowledge, that are putting other people down, and, as another owner of a home inspection company, it's highly entertaining. If you go on any of those forums, you can grab a beer or a cup of coffee and, go to town just kind of reading through. But, when you see an inspector that has over 3,000 posts on a forum, they're not really doing that much inspecting. And even if they are, I just think your time is better spent with a mentor or a business coach or working on your business rather than trying to prove what you know to other home inspectors.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got on a couple of forums because, it was, I know like Dominic says, it's good for SEO, search engine stuff if you're on stuff, and I think you have backlinks, on your stuff because it's home inspection related. But man, you put something on there, and I saw another guy put something on there, like about drones, and how he uses them. It's a couple of inspectors just jumped all over him like, that's the dumbest, idiotic thing I ever seen, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, thank you for sharing your opinion.
Yeah. I think
it wasn't necessary,
Yeah, I think it's very mean-spirited, and I think that we all have to remember where we came from, and everybody, was new at this at one point, and I just think it's very discouraging, and I always hope that those new companies that are on there getting slammed for whatever it might be, I just always hope that they are more they have some thick skin. They can, power through it. And, like you said, they can, those forums can be a good resource. But, from what I see 9 out of 10 times, it's just people really trying to, puff themselves up.
Oh, yeah. Well, I always take resource and, Alexander Graham Bell got thrown out of J.P. Morgan's office, I think, or something, for that silly device called a telephone.
Right.
There's a lot. History's full of quacks that wound up, doing very well. So I happen to like quacks.
Yeah, you know what? Everybody is on their own path in this business, and just because your path is different than somebody else's doesn't mean that you put it down, or because something didn't work for you doesn't mean that it's not going to work for somebody else.
I hear you. Well, speaking about wild and crazy paths, now remember, this is a G-rated show here. With this question,
I'll try.
What is the wildest or craziest or weirdest thing you guys have found in a home inspection?
Yeah, Ray is always texting me crazy pictures. And, sometimes they're from, really high roofs that I'm like, really, can you not play around with the camera? But, obviously our inspectors have found, those closets filled with all kinds of, 50 shades of gray type stuff. And then I remember one time Ray sent me a picture, and it was just these creepy mannequins lined up in this basement, a lot of them. And it was just the most bizarre thing you'd ever seen. But I guess architecturally, Ray inspected a while back a house with a creek that went under the house and it had a watermill. Yeah, an architect had built it, and the house was like a cut-up barge, and it had this 8-foot watermill that generated a little bit of power for the house, but the creek literally went underneath the house through the bottom of the home. So that's probably the coolest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, in terms of craziest and all that stuff, you definitely see your share of things that you can't share on Facebook.
I hear you. Frank Lloyd Wright, famous architect, I think his house, Falling Water, had that somewhere in Pennsylvania, I think, that there's a creek running under it, and it's pretty ingenious if they're creating power somehow or another. But,
and this one did generate a little bit of power. Not much, but it was still just really cool. How many times do you see a creek flowing through the bottom of a house?
Usually it's not a good thing.
No, usually it's not.
Yeah. When I find a creek running through it, it's not a planned creek. It's not a planned one at all. Well, Jen, what do you guys have a training or internet resource or an app or something that you found that helps you guys out you'd be willing to share with our audience?
Sure. An app that I love is Mile IQ, and that app has really helped us and our guys just kind of track their mileage, and you don't have to set it when you get in the car. It just tracks everything automatically, and you swipe it for business or personal, and you don't have to turn it on when you get in the car. It just knows. I don't know how, and it just sends your accountant monthly emails that my accountant loves me now. I never used to track mileage, and now he's like, wow, you send me these reports. And so Mile IQ is an app that I love. And then I love the website. I don't know if you pronounce it Fiverr or Fever. It's FIVERR. .com, and we utilize that website a ton just for different marketing things we're working on, and designs, and you can use it for logos, and literally you pay $5 and you get work in 20 minutes. And
it's professional, very professional too.
Very professional. We've used this a number of times.
Yeah, cool. So Fiverr and Mile, is it Mileage IQ or Mile IQ?
It's Mile IQ, and you do have to pay for it. It's not the free app of Mile IQ allows you a certain number of drives a month, but it's not enough for us. So we pay for the app, but it is well worth it, because I cannot tell you how many of those little mileage books that crazy people write in all the time, like my husband, and so he is obsessive, he's bought me probably 1,000 of them, and then he'll find them in between the seats in my car, and he's like, "Why are you tracking your mileage?" And I'm like, I can't do it. And so this app is a lifesaver for people who do not like to write down their mileage.
Cool. I'm writing that down right now. I'm gonna I got a meeting Thursday with my guys, and that will be on the agenda.
Your accountant will love you, and your guys will love you.
Cool, awesome. Well, Jen, what's the best part of you guys' job and why, and what's the worst part of your job and why?
I think it's probably the same answer as what a lot of entrepreneurs answer, and it's that, the best and the worst part of this job is that ultimately everything depends on you. And,
right.
That's the best because you can make it whatever you want it to be, but it's a whole lot of pressure.
Yeah, oh yeah. Kind of that is the best and that is the worst. It's the same answer.
It's really the same answer.
Well, Jen, is there anything you guys are working on right now that you guys are excited about?
Yeah, we're really excited about just the steps that we're taking in building our team. We have a really strong inspection team and a really great marketing team, and so, just really trying to grow to keep up with the demand, and that's really what we're focused on right now.
Cool. All right, we just got 3 questions left, and you've been so generous with your time, Jen, and really shared a lot of gold nuggets. I've taken some notes here myself. Well, Jen, if you had to move to a brand new town equal to the size of Richmond, and you guys had to start all over, but you still have all your current equipment, your inspectors, you have everything, room and board taken care of, it's just you didn't know anybody. So basically you're going to have to start marketing anew. So if you had $5,000, basically, what would you do? What are you going to get the most bang for your buck marketing-wise with that $5,000 in the first week?
Yeah, I would immediately hire a phenomenal marketing person.
Okay.
And I would pinpoint a few offices and then just consistently and effectively market to those offices. And I would really try to just keep it small and keep it consistent, and that always pays off.
Cool. As far as marketing people, do you have any? Because I've always done it myself for us, but we're moving into other territories, so I'm going to have to do that now because I can't go. How do you find this person? Do you do Craigslist or former realtors, or you have any tips on finding that phenomenal marketing person?
Just because I'm from Richmond, and so I have a huge social network here,
right?
And especially one of realtors and that kind of thing. So, I've always been able to find someone very, very quickly, and we have some really great people on our marketing team, and I guess it's just like when you're hiring home inspectors, you just learn what to look for, and what kind of are the key parts of that person's personality that is going to work well with your company. And I don't know really, we haven't found them one particular place, but Facebook is if you have a good social network in your area, we advertise anything on Facebook in terms of positions, and we have an immediate huge response pretty regularly. So, I think when we try to keep it really fun. So
sure.
When you're fun, people want to work with you, and so, I think it's just about finding somebody that's, we all run, pretty small businesses. Even if you have 10 or 15 inspectors, it's still, considered a pretty small business, and a lot of them are family run, and so you just have to find those people that are a good fit with your family. For us, and we are a family run business, so you're just finding those people who are a really good fit with you. But if we were starting off in a new town, even as much as I market and as much as I love it, that is exactly what I would do, is to hire a marketing person.
Sure. And I'm assuming when you're searching for that fit, or that you're looking for, as far as marketing goes, qualities would be outgoing type personality. Would that be someone who makes friends easily, and someone who relates well to other people, someone who is not very offensive in any way whatsoever, someone who's pretty neutral politically and that kind of thing. I Sure.
just noticed a lot of times people hire, others, and they don't realize what a reflection they are on their
right.
business. And
right.
so you want to hire people that, I think it's really a simple thing to say, and it seems really, like a no-brainer, but I think it's important to hire somebody that you are really comfortable reflecting your business that you've worked so hard on. And so, but definitely someone, when I'm hiring someone for marketing, someone who is outgoing, but, they don't need to be the life of the party. They just need to be able to develop relationships with people. And that doesn't always mean, needing to work the crowd in a large room. Sometimes that means working really well one-on-one, you know?
Right. And you know what? I had that discussion, not to move off the topic, but that political discussion. I had to have that with one of my inspectors. Here, they drive their own vehicles. And I told them, one of them had a presidential bumper sticker on. And I said, you have every right. And I'm not telling you who, but here's the problem. When, you have the right, but when you have a certain thing on that and you're in business, the people who don't like that person, which is probably 50% of the population, no matter who you're going for, they automatically are not going to like you because you like that person.
Yeah.
And, I can't hire you to do inspections unless you take that off. I'm not telling you, can still work for that person, you can do whatever you want, but you got to stay neutral when you're in business because,
and I always like to think that, like, we like to hire people who are really strong in their values and in the same core value system that we have, but not very opinionated. Because when you have people who are super opinionated, you're just going to piss people off. Right.
And I never, I know I'm getting off topic here, but I never understood why people in, like, entertainment would get, why would you want to piss off half your fan base? I would keep that.
Right.
I mean, whatever my political beliefs are, I would keep it to myself because I know I have fans on both sides of the fence. And, hey, I want them to still like me, so keep your mouth shut. Keep that between you and your family. Anyway, I digress. Well, Jen, is there anything that I should have asked you tonight that I didn't?
No, I just want to thank you for, I think that these podcasts, when I say that I listen to them obsessively, like the minute you put them out, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And so it's really, it's been an invaluable resource to me because I love hearing what other companies are doing, and I think it's become a really great part of our inspection community, and I really learn a lot from them. So thank you for starting this. I think you're a really innovative person, and I think it's really cool that you take an idea like this and you just run with it. And it's
I want to say thank you for all your creative ideas. I steal a lot of stuff from Jen. If you're not her friend on Facebook, become her friend. You will learn a lot about marketing.
Thank you.
Jen, thank you so much for your time and spending time with us. Can we get some, for all the listeners out there who got some gold nuggets, and you did, can we go find your Facebook page and give you some likes on there?
Absolutely, yeah. You can, our website, and we've got a new website too that I'd love feedback on if anybody wants to check it out. It's rvainspector.com or capitalinspections.com. So if you check it out and you've got any feedback for us, I'd love to hear it.
Awesome. Well, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, can they get in touch with you via that Facebook?
Through Facebook through Facebook or Jen at capitalinspections.com. It's Jen with 2 N's.
Okay, or Jen McMurdy on Facebook or Capital Inspections, Richmond, Virginia on Facebook, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, cool. Well, Jen, I'm going to let you get back. You have 3 beautiful children and a Labradoodle, so really 4 children. And I know you guys are busy as all get out. We're in the middle of the busiest season, so we won't keep you any longer. Thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thanks, Preston.
Thanks, Jen. Have a good one.
Thanks for checking out the Successful Home Inspector podcast. You can find show links at thesuccessfulhomeinspector.com. Check out the website for special offers, information, and other resources. Thanks again for listening to the Successful Home Inspector podcast. And remember to check back for new episodes. The Successful Home Inspector podcast is brought to you by Preston Sandlin and Home Inspection Carolina.